In the bottom left, he is the Italian stallion from Kaitsa Gaming. Give it up. It's Reynor.
And spawn here at the top right, we got our blue Terran player playing for the Team Liquid. Give it up for the Frenchman. It is Clem.
Rushing those Snoopy, is he tearing it up?
We can definitely see him tear it up. I mean, Clem, one of those players that if he's got it going, he's got it going. He is relentless. So if he smells blood in the water like a shark, he is going to come after Reynor. But so many times Reynor really kind of relying on those rumbys, those Ling rumbys, to kind of catch Clem off guard. And so it's going to be important for Clem to make sure he's got his wall, fortified, and he reacts in time. Make sure he closes and lift up those teapots if need be. And if that's the case, then he should be okay. Because the thing with Clem is that he does leave random widow mines around, and so sometimes if Reynor's not too careful, he will just run the Lings into the widow mines while trying to attempt a run by, and that could be a bit troublesome for him. But yeah, these two players they got a lot of tricks up their sleeves, so we'll see how these guys play throughout this game.
Yeah, it's going to be curious. Of course, Reynor, he's been somewhat vocal about how it's kind of hard for him to practice at home. I mean, there's a reason he moved to London for a little bit. Of course, he did go back. But now, one of the things that he's been most excited about is living in Korea and being in that Unity team house. He's talked about how it's easier to practice when you're around Astrea and Scarlet and everyone else that are like, it's a programmer house. They're actively practicing. The vibe makes that happen. So I do think, even as Reynor did lose Game 3 to Hero, of course, Hero is his own thing. He's the best Protoss player in the world, certainly. Really getting up there in the best player in the world rankings. Maybe, sure. But, look at this. Clem gets a drone. That is not supposed to happen. I was going to say, I feel like we're going to see a much better version of Reynor, at least in TVZ, than we've seen recently, because he actually has access to good Terran practice partners that are not Clem in Korea. But Clem did just get a drone.
Yeah, not typical, especially for a Reynor's caliber. However, I think sometimes we overestimate the improvements of players, foreign players specifically, going into Korea. Usually, you will see the fruits of their labor kind of pay off like a couple of months, maybe to a year later. I think the same thing that happened with Australia. He went to Korea a couple of years ago and played there for a couple of months, and then he really started getting good. After a little period of time, he didn't really get extremely good off the bat, and I think that's probably going to be the same thing with Reynor.
Yeah, I think so. It of course takes a while to get used to new environments, new setups, and I know when he was trying to get ready for things like GSL calls, he was just not able to sleep properly. But we need to talk about what's happening in this game. Actually, I guess we really don't. It's still a 1-1-1. We're fine. We're okay. It's going to be... Well, as I say that, we actually do need to talk about what's happening in this game, because it's going to be a Raven Hellion opening coming from Clem in this game number 1. This is something that we've started to see, I want to say it's Maru, do a little bit more often. It's super vulnerable. It's incredibly vulnerable to roach pushes. But if you're Clem and you've played against Reynor 27,000 times, and and probably 5 of them maybe he's played roach play, you're going to feel pretty confident about going for this. And it really shuts down creep spread.
Yeah, looks like Clem is staying on top of it. Not quite able to get that creep tumor, but was a nice attempt.
And I'm really, of course, it's all about the Raven popping in. That's when things start to get really interesting. Here is the Raven on the other side of the map, although it's taking an interesting route. Clem may have some designs on some auto turret harass. We're going to have to see. Because, of course, normally you would just pair it up with Hellions and stick on the edge of creep and knock down all the creep spread that Reynor holds dear. Now, of course, Reynor is going for that 9 queen style, or actually, he's going up to 11 queens.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I guess that shouldn't surprise me too much. I mean, he is Reynor, and He has been one of those players that has realized that, you build queens, you don't lose games. You may not win games for a while, but you do not lose them. And in fact, I'm going to argue that that's one of the reasons why we have started to see Terran players, as the scan does get dropped, so Creep's going to get removed even if the Raven's not there. Why we have seen Terran players just kind of default into the late game, because you just cannot get any pressure. But of course, Reynor on the other side of the map, Ling run by into the third base is going to be a dead fresh mule. A couple SCVs will fall as well, make it 6. And there are Lings into the natural. This is this is an inauspicious start here for Clem in this game number 1. And behind this, of course, Reynor. He's got 1-1 on the way. His lair, excuse me. It's about halfway, a third of the way done, a little less. So upgrades timing out well. This Raven, though, it's not even really getting all that much. I mean, it's going to target drones down now, and it's only going to be 2. Reynor got a lot more than that one, and he really messed with the tempo. That being said, though, Hellions into the third base. They will go. Drones are going to get pulled. Reynor so quick on the eBay, or the Evo chamber, excuse me, and despite all the heavy pressure that Clem's putting on, only 4 drones.
Yeah, Reynor dealing with this, pretty well. Loses a lot of Lings, but again, Lings just mineral units. I think he's pretty more than fine with losing a couple of Lings. Clem just trying to find as much creep tumors to target fire down. And, all this time, Reynor just been defending with just queens and Lings, which means his gas is going to be invested into something. Currently, his lair is done. Yeah, his lair is done, and it looks like he will invest those gases into not only upgrades, but into a Hydralisk then.
Yeah, that makes sense. You look at this, you say, okay, well, actually, this is 6 gas for Hydraling Bane. Normally, you're looking at 5, but the push from Clem now getting started in earnest. Queens are going to get transfused, but one of them is just going to go down rather quickly. Clem looking to hit a crisp timing with his 1-1, and he will be there in time. Of course, Reynor's Carapace a little bit quicker than his attack, so Reynor's going to be down, even as this Carapace completes, is going to be down 1 upgrade. That's a lot of pressure that Clem has going onto this 4th base of Reynor. And the queens, yeah, they're in a good spot, but that queen is out of range of everything else, so another queen will fall. We're looking at only 7 queens defensively here on the front lines. Reynor making them 3 at a time as he's just buying time, hopefully, for that +1 attack to complete, for Baneling speed to complete, because with these tanks here, without that Baneling speed and without +1, it's really hard to make this engagement happen. But now, as the hatch gets low, Reynor, he's got to do something, and he does get on top of the tank. 1 goes down. Hellions doing what they can to defend the second one. All the Banelings look like they're dead, but 2 tanks have died. Lings, though, they're all going to fall down. These queens off a creep. They're going to start to get very, very low indeed. Transfuses, well, they're not really there, because guess what? It's the high-energy queens that are low. So the hatch will fall. A couple overlords will fall here as well. Reynor in danger of getting supply blocked on the map, as well as the queens continue to try to take fights. More and more Banelings are morphing in. Baneling speed is now done, but Clem does not want to allow that to happen. As more Banelings, they continue to fall. Clem stimming in, and the Baneling speed, though, that is going to be enough to force Clem back for the moment, but he got so much damage on this first push.
Yeah, it seems like he caught Reynor a bit off guard, as Reynor was just getting so greedy, joining up to 85 drones, and wasn't able to have enough on the ground initially. He did finally, hold on later on, but he did lose his hatchery, and now, even though he has so much drones, he doesn't have enough bases to saturate with them. And now, once more, Clem going for that other base.
Yeah, and importantly, we saw Reynor try to re-expand on the north side, and Clem had a bit of a run by that we see right here, trying to get something. It's killed 12 workers, but again, more importantly, it killed that 4th hatch. If you're playing this heavy Ling Bane style that Reynor is, you need those additional hatcheries. You just need it for production, especially as queens are brought to the front. So 27 drones have died in the last minute or so, and despite that, Reynor's worker count it's not great, but it doesn't seem like 27 workers were removed from it. And now Clem pushing onto the bottom side here. He's just, at this point, it's a game of momentum, and it's a game where Reynor, he doesn't feel like he can be where he needs to be. He's like, oh, I'm defending north. Oh, I'm defending south. This doesn't really feel good. The Raven, by the way. Oh, it's only 5 kills. Okay, I thought that was a lot more, but Bailey's off creep. I mean, what are you going to do here? It's not really going to work out. The single G. Clem takes game 1. So on Waterfall, strangely enough, we see a lot of 3-base openings from Terrans, because it's just so easy for them to kind of push on 3 bases. And more importantly, when you look at whether a map is a good Snoopy for Zergs, you say, well, okay, can they get a lot of bases? Waterfall doesn't really have that. Yeah, you can kind of get your 3 and maybe even 4, but where are you supposed to go from there? Yeah, you can take the 9 o'clock base. That's hard. You can take the 3 o'clock base. Similarly difficult. I mean, at a certain point, you just start to expand so close to the Terran that it feels nigh impossible for the Zerg to really defend. So it's weird. The shorter map is almost encourages macro play from the Terran, which is not the way you would often expect it to be.
Yeah, that's a good point. This map, the bases, they're quite limited, and it's actually spread out. I would say quite far from one another compared to to other maps, I would say. But then at the same time, there are a lot of wide open spaces, so Zergs can definitely kind of set up a surround of sorts. But you know what? There are also some clip areas where if the Terran can get some nice siege positioning, then that could be a really great setup. Meantime, we do have the Reaper just hopping away. Just get only one ling, right? Yeah. Actually, 2 lings.
And that's a bit obnoxious. If you do open this with 6 lings, as Reynor has, the goal is to lose nothing, right? Because you effectively are already committed a drone to making sure that you don't lose anything. So still losing that drone's worth of money anyways. It gets awkward. But still, I mean, is it the end of the world? Not really. It just, more of it than anything, it's just kind of a marker on what appears to be Reynor's form. He did take that game 1 against Hero quite convincingly, but that was a weird build from Hero. And in all, really, the straight up macro games-ish we've had, it has felt like the other players in this group have just had a bit of an advantage over the Italian Zerg.
All right, ling speed about to finish here. That should be kind of the point in which Clem is going to have to be wary of, making sure he keeps his Hellions with the Reaper.
So we got, yeah, I mean, Hellions with the Reaper, sure, and really the goal there, of course, is you don't want to take too much damage on the Hellions because we got a Hellbat timing. We get a Marauder Hellbat timing coming out from Clem at this point. He's gonna, I mean, notice the barracks positioning. He's gonna try to hide this away as long as he can. And this is something that actually Clem has enjoyed doing as of late. Next, the Vikings are gonna prevent any sort of scout on this. This is something that Clem has very much enjoyed. This is how he has killed Sue. This is how he's killed a bunch of players on Waterfall in particular, because you can kind of waddle up the right side of that third base and just you can catch Zergs off guard just a little bit. So we see him posturing right there on the edge of creep once again. Now Hellions get a good volley off the Queen, but I mean it's Hellions doing damage to Queens. It's not really all that significant. And Reynor seems to have some inkling that this is happening, right? Baneling Nest is on the way, but I worry, Snoopy, that is maybe just going to be a little bit too little, too late. We're looking at only 10 lings on the field.
Yeah, and Clem is also adding in a Liberator, so if he can siege up at the kind of that ramp area onto the right side of that dirt base. But hold that thought, actually the Hellions just going to completely get on top of these drones. These Queens was just out of position. They were just wandering around, sightseeing, getting busy.
This concave, though, from Reynor is really fantastic. It's making it so hard. The medevac has to stay so far back. So yes, 9 workers have died, and yeah, sure, for the significant portion of that hold, there was not a lot there, but the Banelings are morphed in now. And Reynor, again, showing us why Hellbat builds are maybe not the best build. Sometimes they can work, but more often than not, especially if you are Reynor and you're going up to 9-11 Queens every single game, they don't do all that much there, Snoopy. I mean, 7 drones is nice, but this is a 2-base timing. I mean, it's not a build that is okay with getting that little damage.
Yeah, maybe if his name was Innovation, maybe this will get a bit more done with this Hellbat. But yeah, it looks like Reynor will. Let's see here. How much was lost? 8 drones, 16 lings, 1 Overlord. For 8 Hellbats, 1 Viking, and a Marauder. And the Reaper as well.
Yeah, well, if there ever was a game that Reynor was going to be able to win, I mean, it is this one at this point. He lost, what, 8 drones? Yeah, that's significant, but in the grand balance of things, because Clem got no damage, because Clem did not get all that much, and he lost that entire army, you're kind of okay with it. Of course, Clem's upgrades are going to be faster, 1-1 versus 0-0, and going on from there. But the key point, of course, is Baneling speed will be done before the upgrades of Clem does complete. And that really, or do complete, and that really was the showstopper. That was the big difference in that game number 1, where Reynor could not really struggle to take the engagement. His Banelings could not engage the way they would have liked. And then, well, it really did just snowball from there.
Yeah, we're starting to see kind of the aftermath of that, because right now, with all the Hellions and Hellbats gone, you look at the creep spread. It's like halfway there already across the map. So, you know, really, Clem doesn't have many options to stop it. He does have a couple of Hellions, but you know, you gotta decide to either save the scan, save the energy for the scan, or for Emil's. And looks like he will go ahead and just try to save up for the Muse instead.
I mean, Snoopy, in fairness, this is Waterfall. Like, it takes like 3 tumors to get across the map.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It's like, yes, the creep spread is really impressive, but also it's not all that hard. 1-1 just about done. Baneling, I'm sorry, I think I said Baneling speed was going to be done before 1-1, but I'm sorry, 7 seconds later. I'm really sorry, folks. I can't believe I would lie to you all like that. Hydrogen on the way, though, is Reynor looking to establish his 4th and his 5th base, and because Clem just did not get the damage he was looking for in the Hellbat push, his aggression is significantly muted. We saw him hit that really crisp 1-1 timing. I mean, he could do that now, but the Baneling speed is done. Like, he just does not have the overwhelming force that he was able to take advantage of in that last game.
Yeah. And now we just wait for these guys to collide. Clem just kind of going to the sides, clearing up the creep, just kind of keeping Reynor preoccupied for the time being. Even got the Widow Mine drop here, kind of parked out. Reynor kind of over preparing for this as he throws down 3 Spore Crawlers here. He's like, I'm not dying to any Widow Mines.
Yeah, no, I mean, really, it's also, he knows that Clem is probably going to have to, even if it's just Marines, his drop play is going to have to really start to carry him into this game, because again, you're talking about the creep spread. Good luck pushing it. The 9 o'clock or the 3 o'clock base is hard to hold. With this creep spread as it is, it's a lot easier. And so Reynor already getting ready to move into the late game. His infestation pit just about down, even far before his 2-2 even complete. But it means his lurkers are going to be well timed. And I feel like we're starting to hit that point here as the Hellbats, I'm not going to say from earlier, but he did rebuild more Hellions and other Hellbats. We're starting to see the point where it feels like Clem has to just acknowledge that this game is going to go late. Right, drop the Ghost Academy, start to turtle up, play that Mario style, as the Widowmine's going to get a couple workers. That's nice. Because at this point, I mean, you're not really going. It's going to be very difficult for any concept for you to break Reynor here.
I think the dream scenario for Clem would be to kind of prolong this game into the later stages, because as you mentioned earlier in the game, this map does favor Terran if it goes to the later stages. Not as many bases to take for the Zerg, so if Clem can kind of play the game of attrition, then that kind of favors him, gives him the advantage. For Reynor, though, he probably wants to end this game in the next maybe couple of minutes, maybe after he gets his Hive and Lurker upgrades. I think maybe then he's going to be ready to push on forward.
Yeah, I talk about the late game setup here. Once the Terran is able to get to 3-3 on both mech and bio, and they're on like 10 ghosts, 12 ghosts, they get those 3-3 Thors. Oh, that's not what a mine shot goes off, forces Reynor back. It's really hard. The Zerg can just, oh man, so many Banelings hitting that single Marauder, and Reynor's going to lose a base. Well done there, Clem. It is really hard for the Zerg to afford the army that actually beats that. You need, as Darker showed us, you need like 33 Broodlords, and then just a ton of Spellcasters. And when there is a game where there is trading at all, the maps that are small like Waterfall just do not have the resources required for this one. But Reynor, you talked about one in the game. Lurker Den is now done. He's going to get Lurker upgrades and going to try to hit that timing, but that's a big Widow Mine shot there. Great job, Clem, as he looks to push forward. And with Ghosts already on the field, this fantastic Lurker timing is a Okay, the brains, they show up, they say, ah, here, take 2, go away. But that really powerful lurker timing, right, where you can run across the map because the Terran has no defense. Well, Clem has skipped that stage. His 3-3 is not on the way, but he's choosing to spend much more of his money on ghosts, on that late game tech that, again, they don't really care about upgrades nearly as much as Lings are now going to try to filter through, but not going to be much there. On the right side, though, Widowmine, this time it's going to get baited out, and Clem, this may be a dead planetary. We don't have enough Banelings just yet, but the Lings as well. No repair, not really. Oh, the 2 SCV. The 2 SCVs on the repair, they're more than enough to keep everything alive, and now Clem's chasing down concussive shells, and the Marauders mean the Banelings, they get tagged, they go down. That was expensive there for Reynor, and it really didn't get much of anything.
Yeah, he had a lot of opportunities to take that down, but in the end, wasn't able to, and that's big. Well, I guess not that huge. I mean, Clem had plenty of bases still, but now he's going to be able to start getting almost half of the map, his side at least, of the map. There's still a lot here for Reynor, a lot of Banelings and Hydralisks, and Clem doing his best to kite. It's gotta be important to save those ghosts there in the backside.
That was a great fight for Clem. All the Banelings ran into like one Marauder around the corner. He was just able to fight them one by one. And now, I mean, how many Banelings do we have on the field? We have 5. 33 are on the way, sure, but that fight went so much better. Oh, okay, the bit of an F2 there. Clem's gonna lose a medevac. That fight went so much better for Clem than it really had any right to, with how scary that army from Clem was, or from Reynor was.
Yeah, and right now looks like Reynor is gonna go ahead and try to take down this planetary here, but still so much here left for Clem because of the efficient fight that he had earlier on. He does lose the planetary, but again, he has so much more bases, I believe. I mean, he could lift off the main base as well. As long as Clem kind of holds on to his important units there in terms of the goals. Oh, actually, I'll go ahead and finally drop here.
I thought that was such a big drop with the changeling. I was like, wow, how did he get that many Marines out of that one medevac? And then you're like, okay, well, no. Changelings are a thing. But still, 5 workers go down. He gets a queen as well. But realistically, Snoopy, I mean, so long as Clem is able to really sit on 4 bases, maybe get 5th base eventually, he's going to be very happy. And there we go, 5th base. It will get canceled, but we're starting to hit that ghost count where life gets very hard for the Zerg. We're only at 9 right now, and no personal cloaking, so it's still difficult for Clem. His Banelings are going to try to connect, but it takes 6 Banes to kill a ghost, and they're going to get right on top of all of them. 6 Banes indeed. The base is dead as well. Clem, the G, then the G. We're going to go to game number 3. So, game number 1, we saw Clem hit that incredibly crisp 1-1 timing. He just pushed right through. Reynor did not have Baneling speed, and he was not able to take the first fight, and then really he died. Game 2, not quite able to do that because a Ling run by at a weird timing. Clem had a door open, and he lost, what was it, I think 12 SCVs. He was always behind from there. And these players are good enough, Snoopy, that one mistake like that in the early game, and it's a big mistake. Even still, Reynor's not going to let you come back from that one, not easily.
Yeah, I mean, in this game, especially in its highest of levels, every single mistake does matter. Every single detail matter. It's not like in Diamond League where you can, make a big mistake like, lowering your depot and then a bunch of Lings come in and, at that point you're pretty much dead, or you just like have a Widow Mine drop into your mineral line, kill a bunch of your workers, and then it's pretty much GG. But in this game, where on the highest of levels, like both of these players, like their micro is like top notch, their macro is top notch. It just really comes down to the littlest of details, and it comes to those smaller moments. And we always talk about the big moments, and of course those are important, like during those big fights and engagement. But sometimes, it also comes down to the small moments where it can add up and set you up to a great position to pull out the win. So yeah, we we should expect some high-level play here from these two players, and I'm excited to see who will put themselves in a position to come out of this group. Again, like you mentioned, this is pretty much their tournament's life, the tournament life on the line, as both of these players unfortunately lost to their opponents in their first match.
And that's how it works. You talk about small moments here, Snoopy. Getting 2 Lings for the Reaper, and actually the Reaper's still staying alive. He's not going to get on top of the creep teamer, of course. Zergs have gotten really good at defending that, but even still, getting 2 Lings, it's a small thing, it's a tiny thing. But Clem has really been dazzling us with his Reaper micro in the early game, both on maps where it is his server, so map 1 and map 3, but also on map 2. He got more than expected, and of course here on map 3, well, we talked about how small maps engender macro play from Terrans. This one is no different. It's 3CC play, Hellion Banshee, and it's good because we're not going to see that Hellbat Marauder timing that did not work in the extreme in that last game. Please, no. Give me a normal game here, Clem. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, this is the last game in this series, so you want to kind of go with your most solid build. You don't want to go for some kind of cheeky play or some, you know, weird build order that you don't really practice enough with. So yeah, both of these players, you know, kind of expect that you don't see any cheeses, and they're just kind of playing their game at this point.
I think that makes sense. I mean, game 3, with your tournament life on the line, you're going to play the thing that is most, well, is safest, the one that you're most comfortable with. But Reynor is going to be able to scout in the main base. Says, oh, there's the 3rd command center. There is Cloak researching on the starport. This is Hellion Banshee. I know what I'm dealing with. He should be able to know. He's going to know exactly how greedy he can be and where he needs to be defensively to make sure that that happens and make sure the Hellions and Banshees don't get too much done. So Lair on the way, quicker Baneling Nest this time. But he's battened up. I mean, he's sitting on 8 queens. He's going to go up to 9 pretty soon. Not 11 though. We see that minor change from the first couple games of the series.
All right. Did he finish that cloak? Okay, okay, looks like he did. So we will have Cloak Banshee out on the field. However, it's okay. There's the 2 Banshees there.
Ooh.
Oh, actually, yeah, no detection.
This is a bit of a problem. 1 queen's going to go down. 2nd queen, it's going to get transfused, but I think it's just kind of dead anyways. And that is already pretty damn significant. Yeah, Lair is done, but we don't have Overseer arrives just now. But even still, knocking down 2 queens like that that's a lot, especially as Reynor is not committed to 11. So, well, Reynor has to rebuild that. That's effectively another hatch down the drain. You have to build 2 queens, 300 minerals. And the Hellions, because they have less to defend them, because those queens did go down, and you still want to have queens to defend the Banshees, the Hellions can knock down a lot of creep spread. We talked in the last couple games about how good Reynor's creep spread has been getting across the map. Well, really, really quickly, Waterfall in particular. Well, Clem's doing a much better job of defending in this game. He's going to find the 4th hatch. And now Hellions diving into the 3rd, but Lings are there, and Clem says, I don't know, I'm just going to kill a couple drones and they rally over to the 4th. That seems easier.
Yeah, it just seems like Clem is keeping Reynor on his toes after getting caught off guard with those Cloak Banshees. It seems like kind of playing a little bit of catch up. Looks like he will finally start creeping that creep. It's going to be so important, especially on a kind of a larger map like this. You want to make sure, you know, of course the overlords will have visions of the sides where the dead airspace are, but you also want to have the creep to have vision to see where the opponent army is coming from, and also, you know, it's going to be really helpful during those engagements later down the road.
Certainly, but okay, Banshees, they find a little bit of damage on the 4th base, and it's just a couple workers, but you were talking about small bits of advantage earlier. Well, Clem is starting to find those drips and drabs of advantage. Is the bio here to defend the Banshees or just to pair up with them? A couple Lings will fall, but really not much more than that. One is Queen's walking off. Creep Banshee cloaks up, though, on the low HP. They say, nope, you thought you had a dream. Well, unfortunately, I dreamed a dream the other night, and that dream is the dream that came true. And I dreamed that, I don't know, I'm not going to channel the Riddler anymore. The Banshees stay alive, though, and the creep spread from Reynor, particularly around this 4th base that Clem's trying to push into. not all that inspiring. But the Baneling speed, or the Banelings pop out, Baneling speed is done. So Clem, he is forced back once again.
Oh my god, I'm so scared for these Banshees. I'm like, please send them back home to get repaired. It's so low in life.
They are, oh, or at least they're solo. Well, they're not solo. Snoopy, they have each other. They're paired up.
Oh yeah, they're like the Artosis and Tasteless.
Sure. They're like you and I.
Oh yeah.
There we go. But we got a push here coming in from Clem. Tank sieging up around the side. But we talked about the run-bys killing Clem in game number 2. Well, game number 3. This is a great move from Reynor. 70. He's going to get about 30 work. He's going to be about 20+ workers in this game. And really, most of the lings they're going to get out anyways. Trying to get out. They're going to get a tank as well. So Clem's got get a lot done with this push. Now, I think it's a given that he takes the base. But Reynor already has a base in the triangular position here. Lings and Banes, though, they come rolling around the tank, and that's a corner. Corners are deadly for Zerg, so Clem gets a pretty good fight there, but he's only up about 10 army supplies. 1-1 is, of course, done. 2-2 about halfway done. Tank sieging up in a better spot, and tanks against Hydras are rather nice. No Banelings in this army, though, because the Reynor thinks he can take the fight, but the Lings, they're now all gone. Marines are just fighting Hydras by themselves. Hydras are starting to fall. And the tank's doing a lot of damage on the backside, but it looks like that will be enough to force Clem back. And in a game where Reynor had not just killed 20 workers, I'd say, wow, Clem is in such a fantastic spot. That was an incredible fight. But because Clem's economy just got hit so damn hard, I'm not so sure anymore. It's enough to keep Clem in the game. But
yeah, I mean,
any more than that?
He's like, he lost a lot of SCVs, but not enough that he's like completely out of it. I mean, he still has 4 bases. You know, you add in those meals, and then also his +2/2 is about to finish. So that is going to be really, really helpful during this next big push here. As Reynor, his 2/2 is not nearly completed. I think +2 armor, the carry base is about to finish though.
Yep, Reynor, again, just getting that Carapace a little bit faster, but this tank line from Clem, Ling run by this time, or Ling Bane run by not getting quite as much as it did previously, and now Reynor's just going to give this base up, and now we're starting to see Clem really start to put the pedal to the metal with this 2/2 timing that you were talking about. It's going to be, a 4 hatch Zerg, but it's going to be a 3 base Zerg against a 4 base Terran, and yes, Reynor expands north side, but there's not a lot of creep there. That's a very pushable position for Clem, as we saw in the last several minutes. So Reynor really needs to break this army down by time, knock it all from the map to allow him to really re-expand, to rebuild his economy. But this tank line is so damn powerful for Clem right now. It's hard to get on top of things, and now the Lings and Banes, they are off creep. Widowmine's getting some fantastic shots, and the bio continues to sim forward. These are some rather vulnerable Hydras, and Queens are going to get targeted down as well. Clem really starting to pull ahead here in this game number 3. And again, this is for all the marbles. If you do not win this game right now, you are most likely not advancing out of Group A. Even if you do, it's hard, but you have a shot. So Reynor, I mean, he's got to find something right now. He does not have the production, does not have the economy to match where our young Frenchman is.
Yeah, especially with the upgrade lead that Clem is enjoying. Clem is going to go ahead and try to attack onto the left side. Actually get caught off guard. This could be a nice little start here for Reynor to at least try to spawn back into this game. However, there is another army group here for Clem onto the right side, which is a bit larger. Reynor doesn't quite have enough to deal with it. He might have to allocate some of his forces. Yep, there you go. We'll go ahead and split his army there. But that, again, that does leave the left side quite open then.
That it does. I mean, Hive is most of the way done, and that's something. But I mean, Clem, the Widowmine under the tank causing so much consternation. These spores though, they're making it a little hard for Clem to show up in the main base. But the composition that Clem is making, right? He's building double. He's got double factory siege tank. He's able to build so much stuff. Or more importantly, this army that he's building is just really good against Hydra Ling Bane. Reynor says, okay, my solution then is going to be Vipers. If you have this heavy of a tank count, I'm going to be able to blind and cloud. I'm going to be able to abduct. But Vipers, they take a while. Even after their production time is done, you got to get energy from them. But Clem taking a fight on the north side, it's not really going to be incredible just yet. It feels like if he wants to get done what he wants, it really does feel like he needs to bring his army together, not have it kind of scattered all through the map. But he's taking the 5th base, so even as maybe this push is a little bit hard, and Reynor just giving the position up, he says, I can't hold it. It doesn't really matter because Clem's got his 5th base. Like, his economy is just roaring.
Yeah, he is sitting pretty on the income graph here, as you can see a huge spike coming from Clem as another hatchery goes down for our red Zerg player, and Clem once again attacking at multiple areas. However, I think Reynor has to be careful, or has to be worried about this huge army at the front. He can't afford to lose another hatchery, I would imagine.
That is not you imagine. He cannot afford to lose another hatchery here. The production will just not be there. That being said, good abducts here on a tank to start. Maintenance connect to that, though. That's not really what you want. Is now Clem, he's just running backwards to tank line to tank line to tank line. But these blinding clouds for these abducts are doing a great job of making that happen. Parasitic bomb on top of this army as well. Reynor trying to make the best of a bad situation. He's making a damn fine fight out of a bad situation here. The army of Clem getting shattered back to home. This drop in the main base is, well, 1 medevac will fall, but it's only 2 Marines in it. So this drop from Clem is just not going to get much of anything. And now Reynor, he does have Hive. He's got +3 armor on the way, +3 attack. I mean, it's not super important as lurkers are starting to hit the field. And he's still holding. Again, it's not great. The economy really strongly in Clem's favor, but maybe with lurkers, but even still, I mean, the ghosts are already on the field. And that's a dead hatch on the north side.
Yeah, it just seems that Reynor can't get a hatch up here for the life of him. He's going to try on the right side. But like you mentioned, the ghosts are in production, and those are going to be really helpful to counter the lurker tech that Reynor is going for. If you have if you already have the counter for your opponent ahead of time, then that kind of spells well for you once the engagement happens. However, the bane of Clem's existence are Ling run-bys, and it seems, okay, he does catch some of the units, but that could have been another detrimental Ling run-by. As we've seen throughout this whole series, it seems like Clem has a huge trouble with those Ling run-bys.
Yeah, Clem never even really remade. Oh, that's a dead lurker. Okay. Clem never even remade the wall. He says, you know, it's whatever. I mean, I'm going to be fine. But this drop on the north side is going to knock down a couple queens, so they are all off creep, cannot transfuse. But these Vipers, though, that being said, abducts on a bunch of Vipers. The EMPs blanket them for the most part, so they're not going to be as effective as they might otherwise like to be. But Snipes now going down on the lurkers. Clem, I don't know that you want to engage into that one, bud. He tried, but his ghost count pretty reset. He's only on 5. I think he had about 10 previously, so nice job there, Reynor, knocking down really what is the most important tech from Clem at this point. And this is buying Clem a little bit, or Reynor a little bit of time. He's taking the north side base, the northwest base. And if he can keep that alive, I mean, it's something. But if you look at resources lost and realize that Reynor is down about 8,000 resources, he's trying to just play the cost effectiveness game at this point. Hydra, Lurker, Viper. This is definitely a style. This is definitely a composition that does allow you to trade pretty efficiently up until critical ghost count. And Clem is getting pretty damn close to that critical ghost count.
Yeah, both of them trying to go for that critical amount of either lurkers or ghosts. However, with the tanks outranging the lurkers, Clem can just kind of keep scanning, do the slow push. Meanwhile, there is still also the left side. And here we go. Actually, a bunch of banelings, a lot of banelings actually coming and rolling on through. Can he get down this planetary? I think even if Clem does lose this planetary, he should be fine. I mean, he has plenty of resources in the bank.
Oh yeah, he's fine. And the planetary is not even going to go down. I mean, that happened in the waterfall game, and then Clem lost. So maybe some copium there. Is now Clem trying to stay on top of these lurkers, but it's getting expensive. Blinding cloud as well, just on top of this army, trying to keep the lurkers alive. Ghosts with personal healers, though. Looks like they're doing a decent job even still. 3 lurkers survived. Clem did not have enough to make that happen. Granted, he's still up 40 army supply, but at the very least, he's trading supply back a little bit. He's a little more cost effective. It's okay. Oh, never mind.
All right, looks like the lurker numbers has dwindled down to 2, which is kind of very, very sad. I'd say. And 2 of them are actually low in health, so if Clem wants to target fire on those 2 lurkers, actually, never mind, doesn't even need to, as Reynor taps on out, and Clem, he's gonna take this 2-1 victory.